So our next looping control structure is the do-while loop. This is a post-test loop, so the statements in the block are going to execute at least once because they'll do that before the first test. It's probably easiest to see over here on the right-hand side with the flow chart. So you can see that we're processing. We come in here, we do the execution of the block, then we test. Excuse me. If the test is true, we loop on back through and repeat. So we're going to run at least one time. If the very first time we test this is false, then we move on. And then the pseudocode for this is do, while, and then we have the condition here. Our example, this is real common to basically use for checking user input, because you have to get the input at least once from the user, and then if they don't get it right, you loop back and get it again from them. So we can create a blocking loop that loops as long as it takes for the user to get a clue and to give us what we're looking for. In this example, which I'm going to have you do in one of the assignments later on, we ask the user to enter their birth month as a value from 1 to 12. And again, they'll enter this the first time, and then we'll check to see if the value they give us is correct. It's within 1 and 12 inclusive. And this particular kind of validation is called range checking, where we have a range of continuous values from 1 to 12, and we basically want to confirm that we got a value within that range. And you're going to see that to do this kind of checking, we test the ends of the range. So we're actually going to invert the control structure's logic, because if you think about it, it loops as long as the input is incorrect. So you have to invert it. So you'll see that here when we do the example. So in this case, I've gone ahead and written the example out, and I'm just going to run through it with you. So we have a class called birth month. Again, our class names begin with a capital letter, and then use camel case for any additional words, and you're not allowed to have a space in a name, either a class name or a variable name. Here we have one variable called birth month, and it's going to be of type number. It's not necessary, but we're setting it to 0. You might think that, hey, is that important or not? It's not, because remember, the loop here within the do while is going to run at least one time, and it'll input some value here. So birth month will get instantiated with whatever value the user gets us. So again, we have our prompt. We tell the user what we're expecting, a number between 1 and 12 inclusive. We input the number. And then look here how we test this. So we say while birth month is less than 1, which means it's on the left-hand side of the range, it's less than the range, or birth month is greater than 12, which means it's higher on the right-hand side of the range. And so in English, really what this statement says is while birth month is out of range. So again, you have to be very careful, because you can see that I've actually flipped the logic. What I'm looking for is a number between 1 and 12, and my control statement says as long as I don't have a number between 1 and 12, continue to loop. So this will keep creating a blocking loop where the user will get the prompt, enter your birth month 1 to 12. If for some reason they can't do it correctly, it'll loop and do that again. It'll just keep prompting them. So this is a blocking loop, and it'll keep blocking until they finally give us a value in range, and then we'll output that with a complete sentence. You said your birth month is, plus the birth month value, which will be a number from 1 to 12. Okay, so that's pretty simple, very short video on this one. But you'll have to pay attention. Again, this logic here is sort of tricky when you first start. So really the logic is going to be while the input is not correct. So it's always the opposite of what you actually want. Okay. And again, here I just have a little comment to kind of underscore that for you. So while birth month is out of range, we want to keep looping. And then the loop stops when we get something that we want, which is when it's in range. Okay, I hope this is helping you. Code on, dudes and dudettes.